Howdy. Howdy, folks. I got no idea what to start with, so let's just start writing then. The soldiers freed prisoners. Prisoners seem to take Dieter's warning to heart. Statement to heart. They really were fighting. Really fighting like they've been. They were really fighting hard. Ray wondered how many of them were vets. Vets of some kind of war. Seemed like they were all... Yeah, that's a fine sentence, okay? Google, Word, whatever. These companies are owned by the same people anyway, who cares? Let's see, many of them were vets of some kind of war. They were wielding... Most of them were of military age. And even those, and the older ones who weren't, might have been vets of the Great War. It was a vicious kind of fighting. I'll play those old timers. Still knew a thing or two. They were probably home guard types in World War III and World War IV. The home guard didn't do so hot. Brand had done battle with the home guard in World War III. Operation Sea Lion was the planned invasion of Britain. I'm not sure if that's the name I used in this universe, but it doesn't matter. This energy drink really did a wallop on me today. Right now I feel like every cell in my body is alive. I don't use drugs besides caffeine, but you know. Maybe someday if I get really depressed and messed up, I'll want to use drugs, you know. Probably be a sad boy someday. All this, all alone in the world, you know. Who wants that? Yeah, I can see why people who are lonely self-medicate in various ways. It was, they only... Many cracked under pressure. Many of them cracked under pressure. But some put up a determined fight, delaying the inevitable victory by a few hours. Frank could understand. When Bloodco was besieged and occupied step by step. Many militias sprang up to fight. They were much their home guard, though they went by different names. What were those names? I don't know. Volkstrom, I think one of them was called. You got the Volkstrom. You got the werewolves, who were Nazi partisans. You got the Volksgrenadier divisions, which were lesser trained, but still full-fledged divisions of the German army. And there was like a lot more divisions on paper in Germany at the end of World War II than at the start, but most of them were just, you know, the imaginations of Hitler as he was losing his mind in Berlin. Let's see. Brand joined the firing line. Line right past cell block Z, or 5. of the collaborator guards tried to hold them in place. Most of the collaborators had fog field rifles. For some reason, whenever I call them fog field, I think of that cartoon Foghorn Leghorn. I don't know why. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Yeah, foghorn. Giant rooster. Sorry, that foghorn. One fellow, the ranking officer, was wielding, I guess I'll use this as an example. One ranking officer was wielding, E1 SMG. They were firing from the hip. The SMG welder was the only one standing. The rest were in prone. Brand got her prone herself, taking up her own fog field rifle. Probably called it Enfield by accident, but that's fine. I'll correct it later. Enfield. I accidentally called the place by its real name a few times earlier. That's a bit embarrassing. Squeezed off 2 shots. The first collaborator in line. And prone. Nailing him through the right shoulder. The fellow gasped and rolled on his back. Not putting up any more of a fight. Second fellow in line got up in a kneeling pose, firing 2 shots, both of which killed prisoners. There's near Brand. One had blonde hair, like a brother. For a moment, Brand thought she just saw her brother Dieter died. It wasn't him. It was someone else's brother. Dieter. I mentioned blonde hair, blue eyes. Shade of blonde. Blue eyes. Let's see, okay. 1 rifleman dead. 2 shots from Brandt went over the man's shoulders and head. And the third, or the enemy rifleman's, kneeling rifleman's head. Then the third smacked him right in the skull. He tumbled backwards. Going limp. The third in line got up to a standing pose, fired off 3 shots, then was running for a nearby alcove. Firing line, how far off? He got shot through the abdomen on the way. Abdomen on the way. It wasn't Brandt's work, but she finished him off, hitting him through the right pectoral as he was staggering about after dropping his rifle. There was 1 rifleman left on the floor. The blood of his comrades oozing all about him and under him. Brand had been in that position before, though she was luckier than this fellow who got shot twice in quick succession, and he slumped forward atop his bloodied rifle. Don't let them box you in, Dieter yelled from his cover across the way from Brandt. The door frame of some empty office. The last collaborator. Did I call him Jade? That wouldn't be accurate exactly, but be like saying someone who collaborates with the Germans is the same as a German. Like, oh, the Germans had lots of collaborators in the last war. French, Bulgarians, Hungarians, Romanians. Yeah, Ukrainians. Yep, quite a few. And, wore different uniforms, usually, I think. And nobody accused them of becoming German by serving the Germans. I'm pretty sure from 1939 to 1945, being called a German was a spectacular insult. As I sprayed from the hip with his SMG, and when it was empty, he tossed out 2 grenades. 2 grenades. He reloaded in cover, his grenade killing a few prisoners who tried to bum rush the guy. When he leaned out again, he didn't have time to admire his kills, where he took 2 rifle rounds across the chest, sending him flying into the open, letting out a scream. He wasn't done yet, after falling, dropping. He managed to get up, grab his SMG from a kneeling, fired off a few bursts from a kneeling pose, killing 2 men. And then as his last hurrah, a bullet from a rifle caught him about the skull, and he slumped on his side. It was a bloody mess like the rest of his men. Move in, Dieter yelled. Grab their guns. Yes, sir, the men replied. Brandt, suppose she wasn't in charge anymore. It was Dieter, and his was in command. People were still curious about her. Pardon me, what the hell was that? Indigestion again. I hate getting indigestion. I get so much. But only in the morning for some reason, after breakfast. Later in the day I can eat anything and there's no problem at all. Almost wish I could reverse that, because I'd rather feel better now than later. Let's see, people still curious about her. Sir, who is this girl? To you. One of Dieter's Loops asked him, as though it was a matter of great urgency. She's my sister, Dieter replied instantly. Younger sister? Loot asked. Dieter shook his head. Nah, older sister, Dieter clarified. I'm her little brother. Huh. You look older than her. Loot nodded. Well, we Brandt men don't age like Brandt women, I suppose. Dieter noted. Frank smiled at the little compliment. What she remembered what she really looked like under the makeup and contact lenses. How she was going to look even worse than that soon when she turned into some hideous red-scaled beast. Actually, Dieter didn't know. Did he know? Didn't know. Have to check that about Brand's condition. She supposed she was going to have to tell him. And later, he might even see the transformation. But she'd rather he didn't. Dieter had seen enough trauma in his life. The death of his brother, his father. No brother. There's no brother in this. But sometimes I think when I bring a family of a character into the story, that's like, the more the merrier, you know? Give them 10 brothers, give them 20, give them 10 brothers, however many, you know? It's, if I'm gonna make a character a father, give him like 6 kids, you know? Why not, right? I mean, it's not like having 1 kid is the same as having 6 kids, except from a writing point of view. You might as well. Especially if they're off-screen and you don't have to actually depict them, so, you know. That's why a lot of stuff gets mentioned as happening off-screen, because that's, you know, quite a bit easier than dealing with the this and that. I think our main characters have some kids, but not so much Brandt. Death of his father, his mother, then his father. Let's see, something of his boyhood friends, and get murdered on the streets of Dreadon by the Red Army, by the Vulcan Red Army. He didn't need to see his sister turn into a monster as well. 5 minutes later, 2 Jade soldiers, 2 Jade officers, not collaborators, real Jade, not just collaborators, found themselves trapped down a long hallway not far from cell block Z. Why? Y or Z? ZY. One bad thing about the energy drinks, it makes you think of a lot more things that you have to correct and look over. I don't know if that's just with me, with my OCD, or if that's a common thing with writers. Some writers never edit their stories in the slightest, leaving that to somebody else. And others, well, they wouldn't trust another person with their book. So they do all the editing and everything themselves, which is commendable. I really gotta do a lot more proofreading of my stories. I don't really do that because I guess I'm lazy. And it feels kind of weird and cringy to read your own stories for some reason. I guess I am reading my own stories right now as I'm writing them, but still. I mean, let's see. What am I rambling about? They were separated. Whatever this little revolt in the prison was, it seemed a bunch of prisoners had escaped and armed themselves. Their revolt was doomed to failure. But the question was, how many Jade soldiers they'd take with them before being rounded up and given their just punishment. Fair, yeah. Not actually fair in the slightest. You probably lock them up on trumped up charges. The two officers were pretty sure they were doomed unless they were somehow able to drive the enemy off the power of water. We Jade soldiers are trained to think on our feet. The senior Jade officer noted to the younger, anything can be a deadly weapon. But a fire hose? The younger officer muttered. It's all we got, the senior replied. The nearest armory was cut off from them by the rampaging prisoners, and the prisoners were closing in. The only thing available to them. Let's see. Demoralizing. The only weapon they had, besides their sidearms, was a long high pressure fire hose. With it, maybe they could knock down a small group of prisoners. The reason they didn't run off past them. Kind of like that scene from Mannequin Part 1. I can't believe that movie has a sequel. Apparently not a very good one. Is it really a sequel? If none of the characters from the original appear or mentioned? I sometimes think that's certainly the case with novels. I mean, you write a novel, call it a sequel to an earlier novel, you better go there and have some characters from that story showing up. Or at least get mentioned. The Japanese are better at this. I've seen plenty of sequel shows from them where the characters, or earlier characters, showed up, or at least got mentioned. Sometimes they even showed up and got killed, which, I guess that's a way to do it. Ask them. Link up with friendly forces elsewhere. Elsewhere in the prison. Also, folks, when you say elsewhere in like this area here, make sure you note where. Elsewhere can literally be anywhere. If I write elsewhere, is this even on the same planet anymore? Presumably. So just mention the setting a few times. If anything, information is important enough to say once, it's important enough to say 2 or 3 more times, I'd say. Anyway, it's time to go. See you later, folks. I guess we'll see if these two Jade made it out later.